Phase 1. The hook. Video opens on a slow-motion shot of an old, weathered Viking longship sailing through a thick, cold fog. The only sound is the creaking of wood and the gentle lapping of water. The camera pans across the worn, tired faces of the crew, finally settling on an older man at the helm, Leif Erikson. His eyes are fixed on the impenetrable mist ahead. His expression is not one of fear, but of immense, unyielding patience. Narrator. There is a particular kind of grief that has no name. The person you knew is gone, replaced by a phantom that wears their face. We call this the ghost of potential. It is the specter of who they could have been, haunting the wreckage of who they have become. And the most human, most painful impulse is to eventually turn away. To save yourself. But what if the greatest act of strength is not to walk away, but to stand still? By the end of this journey, you will understand the profound power of unwavering belief, and how holding onto the memory of a friend can become the one true compass in a world lost to fog. Phase 2. The problem narrator. You have felt this. It begins slowly. A change in their voice over the phone. A shadow in their eyes that wasn't there before. The conversations that once flowed like a river now feel like chipping away at a wall of ice. You reach out. You offer advice, you offer comfort, you offer a hand. Your words are met with silence, or worse, with a bitter anger that seems to come from nowhere. They are caught in a storm inside their own head, and any attempt you make to reach them is seen as an attack. They push you away, not because they hate you, but because your presence is a painful reminder of a shore they believe they can never reach again. And so, you start to retreat. Visual. A shot from inside a warm, fire-lit longhouse. The camera looks out the open door at a figure shrinking in the distance, disappearing into a blizzard. The door slowly begins to close, shutting out the storm. Think of a friend who fell into a deep and bitter nihilism after a great loss. In the beginning, you were there constantly. You brought them food. You sat with them in silence. You endured their lashes of fury. You were a soldier for their well-being. But a year passes. Then too, the person you are trying to save does not seem to want to be saved. The well of your energy runs dry. You tell yourself, I have my own life to live. I cannot drown with them. And so you build a careful distance. You stop calling. You mute their name in your mind. This is not an act of malice. It is an act of survival. But here is the hidden cost, the tax levied on your soul for this retreat. When you decide that someone is a lost cause, you are not just closing a door on them. You are installing a lock in your own heart. You learn, in a small and terrible way, that loyalty has an expiration date. That some people are simply too broken to be worth the effort. You accept a world in which people can be thrown away. And that acceptance makes your own world colder, smaller, and infinitely more lonely. You began by trying to save a friend, and you ended by sacrificing a piece of your own capacity for faith. Phase 3. The solution narrator. In the sagas of the Old North, the heroes are men of action, of fire and steel. They solve their problems with the sharp edge of an axe. Their grief is a war cry. Their love is a conquest. But there is another kind of strength, a quieter, more profound wisdom found in the story of a man who was not a warrior, but an explorer. A man whose greatest voyage was not across an ocean, but into the heart of a lost friend. Visual. We see Leif Erikson, older now, unrolling a worn map on a simple wooden table. His hands are gentle, his gaze focused. The map is not of coastlines, but of memories. The wisdom of Leif Erikson is the philosophy of unyielding presence. This is not a passive waiting. It is an active, stubborn, and deeply courageous form of belief. It is the conviction that a person's true self is never destroyed, only buried. Like a seed deep under the winter snow, it waits. Unyielding presence is the commitment to stand guard over that snow-covered ground, waiting for a spring that may never come. It is a faith not in what a person is in their moment of darkness, but in what you know they are capable of being again. This philosophy is built on 3 foundational pillars. First, is the anchor of memory. In a storm, a ship without an anchor is lost. It is dashed against the rocks or pulled into an endless sea. When a person is lost in their own inner storm, their present self, the angry, broken, silent self, becomes the only reality they can see. Unyielding presence means you become their anchor. You must consciously and deliberately hold onto the memory of who they truly are. Not as a nostalgic dream, but as hard evidence. You remember their specific acts of kindness. You remember the sound of their honest laughter. You remember the light in their eyes when they spoke of their dreams. These memories are not meant to be weapons you use against them. You used to be so happy. That only creates shame. No, these memories are for you. They're your anchor, holding you fast against the pull of your own frustration and despair. They are the proof that the person you are fighting for is real, even if they are currently unreachable. Visual. A shot of Leif, alone on his ship, years into his search. He looks at a small, carved wooden bird, a token from his past with Thorfinn's family. He turns it over in his hands, his face a mask of resolve. Second, the power of proximity. Our modern world screams at us to fix things. We want a 5-step plan to cure our friend's depression, a dramatic intervention to stop their self-destruction. We believe our job is to charge into their fortress of solitude and drag them out into the light. Leif Erikson teaches us a different way. He does not seek to fix Thorfinn. For years, he simply searches. His goal is not to lecture, to preach, or to force a change. His goal is simply to close the distance. To be there. The power of this principle lies in its humility. It is the understanding that you cannot walk another person's path of atonement for them. You cannot carry their burden. But you can walk beside them. You can create the opportunity for change, without demanding it. It is a quiet, non-judgmental vigil. It is sending a simple, powerful message across the abyss. You are not alone. I see you. Visual. We see a great, ancient oak tree in the dead of winter. Its branches are bare, its bark is gray and cracked. It looks utterly lifeless. Third, the acceptance of the timeline. This brings us to the core of this philosophy, and its greatest challenge. Imagine a person is like this ancient tree. A great trauma, a deep-seated rage, is a blight that has covered its bark and caused its leaves to wither and fall. It appears dead to the world. Most people, with the best of intentions, will come to this tree and see only dead wood. They might shake its branches, demanding it show a sign of life. They might shout at it, scolding it for not being green. When it does not respond, they walk away, convinced it is a lost cause, good only for firewood. Unyielding presence is the act of the gardener. The gardener comes to the tree and is not fooled by the bare branches. They know that life is not in the leaves, but in the roots, hidden deep in the cold, dark earth. So, the gardener does not yell at the branches. They kneel down and tend to the soil. They water the roots. They clear away the weeds. They do this day after day, week after week, through the entire, long winter. They do not do it because they expect to see a blossom tomorrow. They do it because they have faith in the roots. This is the acceptance of the timeline. Healing and redemption do not follow our schedule. Leif searches for years. His faith operates outside of time. It is a radical act of patience that says, I will wait. Your winter does not scare me. I will be here when your spring arrives. Phase 4. The application narrator. This is a beautiful philosophy. But it feels like an epic for a forgotten age. How do we practice this in a world that tells us to cut toxic people out, to protect our energy, to move on at all costs? How do we become the gardener when the whole world is telling us to be the lumberjack? It requires practice. It requires intention. Here are 4 concrete steps to cultivate unyielding presence in your own life. 1. Re-establish the true north. The next time you feel that weariness, that urge to give up on someone, I want you to stop. Find a quiet moment. Take a piece of paper, or open a new document. Do not write about the problems. Do not list their flaws or your frustrations. Instead, I want you to write down 5 to 10 specific memories that represent that person's true self. Be specific. Not, he was funny, but, that time we were caught in the rain and he made a joke that made me laugh so hard I forgot we were soaked. Not, she was kind, but, the day she stayed up all night to help me study, even though she had her own test. This list is not a fantasy. It is your evidence. It is the proof of the person underneath the storm. This is your map. Your true north. Whenever their current behavior makes you want to turn your back, look at this list. Let it be the anchor that holds you. 2. Practice the art of the low-stakes check-in. Grand, dramatic interventions often fail. They create pressure, shame, and force the other person to become defensive. You cannot force someone to heal. But you can remind them that they are not forgotten. Practice the small, consistent, no-pressure signal. A simple text message that asks for nothing in return. Hey, I drove past that old coffee shop we used to go to. Just thinking of you. Hope you're doing okay. Share a song, an article, a funny picture that you know they would have once loved. The goal is not to start a long conversation or to get a specific response. The goal is to send a flare into their darkness. A single, repeating signal that says, I am still here. I have not forgotten you. There is no pressure when you're ready to talk. You are a lighthouse. You do not chase the ships. You do not scream at them to turn. You simply sweep your light across the dark water, showing them where the shore is, again and again and again. 3. Define your boundary of support, not abandonment. Unyielding presence is not martyrdom. It is not about allowing someone to destroy you in their own self-destruction. You must protect yourself. The crucial skill is to distinguish between a boundary of support and a wall of abandonment. A wall of abandonment says, you are dead to me. Do not contact me again. It is a final act of severing. A boundary of support says, I love you, but I cannot participate in your chaos. I cannot give you money for your addiction, but I will drive you to a recovery meeting anytime, day or night. I cannot listen to your circular rage for hours, but I am here to talk about real steps forward. I cannot allow you to scream at me in my home, but my door is open the moment you are ready to speak with respect. A boundary protects your well-being without severing the lifeline. It tells the other person, I cannot join you in the storm, but I will be waiting for you on the shore, with a blanket and a warm fire. Be clear, be firm, and be consistent. 4. Embrace the long silence. This is the hardest practice. Your check-ins may be met with silence. Your boundaries may be met with anger. You may see no progress for months, or even years. You must learn to detach your actions from the need for an immediate result. You must find the value in the act itself. When you hold on to faith for another person, you are reinforcing your own capacity for hope. When you practice patience, you are deepening your own soul. Your steadfastness becomes a part of who you are. You are tending the roots of a tree in winter. Your job is not to demand blossoms in the snow. Your job is to have faith in the roots, to do the work, and to wait for the turning of the seasons. The act of tending is its own reward. Phase 5. The proof narrator. But does this truly work? Or is it a fool's errand, a beautiful but naive hope? For the proof, we must return to the saga. For 6 years, Thorfinn was less than a ghost. He was an empty shell. Sold into slavery after losing his entire purpose for living, he became a hollow man, devoid of will, emotion, or hope. He was, by all measures, a lost cause. The world had forgotten him. But Leif Erikson had not. Visual. Leif's ship finally makes landfall. He walks through a farm, his eyes scanning every face. He sees a man with haunted, empty eyes, Thorfinn. There is a moment of recognition. Armed with nothing but the anchor of memory and an impossible patience, Leif searched the known world. And when he finally found Thorfinn on a farm in Denmark, a broken slave, he did not see the husk. He saw the boy who dreamed of a peaceful land in the West. He didn't demand an explanation. He didn't scold him for the lost years. He offered no grand speech. He said only a few simple words. Let's go home, Thorfinn. In that moment, Leif's unyielding presence became a mirror. It reflected an image of Thorfinn that Thorfinn himself had long since shattered. The image of a man worthy of being searched for. A man with a home to return to. A man who was still his friend. It was this external act of faith that reignited the internal spark of hope in Thorfinn. Leif's belief became the scaffolding upon which Thorfinn could begin to rebuild himself. It was the proof he needed to start his true journey, not of revenge, but of atonement. This is not just the stuff of sagas. The psychiatrist and Holocaust survivor Viktor Frankl observed a profound truth in the concentration camps. He noted that the people most likely to survive the horrors were not necessarily the physically strongest, but those who held onto a meaning for the future. The thought of a loved one waiting for them, a book they still had to write, a question they needed to answer. This why could help a person endure any how. Leif Erikson became Thorfinn's why. He was the living, breathing reason to endure. He was the external anchor of meaning that kept Thorfinn from being completely swept away by the void. The logic is sound. We think that change must come from within. But when a person is truly lost in darkness, their internal compass is broken. They believe they are the failure, they are the addict, they are the monster. The unyielding presence of a friend is a psychological lifeline. It is the steady hand of another person, pointing to true north and saying, "This is the way home. I will wait for you." Phase 6. The call to action. Visual. The longship is now sailing on a calm sea, under a hopeful, clearing sky. Thorfinn is on board, still quiet, but there is a flicker of life in his eyes as he looks towards the horizon. Leif stands near the helm, a quiet, content expression on his face. Narrator. We have all stood on one side of this divide. We have been the one watching a friend drift into the fog, or we have been the one lost in the mist, hoping someone was still looking for us. In the comments below, I want you to reflect on this. Tell me, have you ever been the Leif for someone, or has someone been the Leif for you? Describe that feeling of holding on, or being held onto. What did it teach you? If these journeys into the heart of the human condition speak to the old soul within you, then join our settlement. Subscribe to the Farmland Preacher, and we will continue to seek wisdom in these old tales together. Leif's patience was the cure for a world consumed by vengeance. His steadfastness was the antidote to the fire that forged Thorfinn into a weapon, only to leave him as ash. To truly understand the terrifying emptiness of that fire, and the tragic wisdom of the man who wielded it, watch our next video, The Empty Throne of Vengeance. Askeladd's tragic lesson.